Alrighty, so after today, you want to be able to see this question and get it correct when it comes up in your exams. So let's get straight to it. We have a 26-year-old who delivers a healthy male infant at term after an uncomplicated pregnancy. The newborn initially feeds well and gains weight appropriately. However, beginning at 4 weeks of age, he develops progressively worsening projectile non-bilious vomiting following each feed. Physical examination reveals signs of dehydration. Which of the following is most likely the underlying diagnosis? Alright, let's go straight to the answer options here. So we've got a congenital duodenal atresia. Alright, so this is the wrong answer because normally with this you're going to have bilious vomiting and you're going to diagnose this with an X-ray, which is going to show the classic double bubble sign, so air in the stomach and air in the proximal part of the duodenum. All this means that the duodenum ends in a blind pouch. Yeah, so this is the wrong answer. Jejunal atresia, very similar to duodenal atresia, except for this one, you're going to have a triple bubble sign on X-ray. So you're going to have gas in the stomach, in the duodenum, in the proximal part of the jejunum. And so we can cross out A and B here. Physiological vomiting. Whenever I see this in exam, I want to pick it, but don't do that here. Don't make that mistake. For this one, you want to be able to rule out everything else before you pick it. But if you just look at the vignette here, you've got projectile vomiting, which is not physiological. You also have it's gotten progressively worse. And it's also showing the patient's also showing signs of dehydration. So you want to stay far away from this one at the moment. Hirschsprung disease. So this one is classically associated with Down syndrome, also with a RET mutation. This one's going to present within the first 2 days of life with the patient who's got failure to pass any meconium. You're going to do a digital rectal exam and you're going to find a empty rectal vault, and you can also get a squirt sign. So that is basically what it sounds like. That is a expulsion of feces when you open up the rectum. So it doesn't fit our description here, so we can cross that out. Then we also have a tracheoesophageal fistula. So this one will present in the first few hours of life. So when the baby first has a feed, the baby is going to present with coughing, gurgling, things like that. And the reason is because between the trachea and the esophagus, there's a connection. So you've got air going straight into the stomach, and then the baby just coughs it up, and kind of gurgles and stuff like that. So the wrong answer here. So that leaves us with pyloric stenosis. Pyloric stenosis is our correct answer. We have the classic sign of it. So you got projectile non-bilious vomiting. It's the only one here that will present with non-bilious vomiting at 4 weeks. What you're going to find in this patient, you're going to see a olive-sized mass, basically palpable on the abdomen, in the epigastric region, and you're going to present projectile non-bilious vomiting. You're going to have signs of dehydration, and for this, the treatment is surgery. However, for this, there is a tricky thing that they try to get you on. So when you have continuous vomiting, you're going to have some electrolyte changes. So you're going to have a metabolic alkalosis, you're going to have low potassium and low chlorine. Before this patient can go into surgery, you must fix their electrolyte abnormalities. Otherwise, they're going to struggle and not be fit for surgery if you've got low potassium and things like that. So you've got to fix that. That's a quick run through on this question. That's how you get the correct answer. However, what I'll do right now is I'll quickly go through my formula of getting all these questions correct. Okay, I like to split it on a chronological timeline of when the patient's going to present. Okay, so on the first feed, you're going to have tracheoesophageal fistula. You're going to get coughing, gurgling. That's when you pick this one. In the first 2 days, you can get duodenal atresia, jejunal atresia, and Hirschsprung disease. These two will present with vomiting, with bilious vomiting. Okay. Actually, all three will present with bilious vomiting. However, with these two, they're always going to give you an X-ray. double bubble sign, and you've got a triple bubble sign for jejunal atresia. Okay, Hirschsprung disease, they're going to give you failure to pass meconium, severe constipation for the patient. Okay, and in 4 weeks, only one at 4 weeks, you got pyloric stenosis. Okay, so that will present 4 to 8 weeks into life, and yeah, that's all you need to know. Cheers.